Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Shit Your Pants Wednesday here on the DJB Productions Network. I'm your host, Matt Sunner, and I am joined once again by my good friend, creator of the DJB Productions Network, Mr. Danny J. Rockin'
Yes!
Deadpool.
Yes! Shit your pants Wednesday. It's a great
Got
day.
your shitting pants on?
I do. I got my Depends. When you get older, you have to buy them. You know, you buy them in Acme.
Dan wears them anyway. Just he doubles up on
I
them.
wear two. I take one off. I feel like I'm risky. You know.
Oh, God. Oh, man. Today's episode, we have got, this is last episode we did was one of those ones that you're going to laugh at. This one, no, you're not going to laugh too much at this one. It's got a little cheese factor, but the overall great movie. Intruder came out, I believe it was 1988 or 89. This movie. Okay,
this might have been actually when we did this.
This is one that I
25
brought
years
to you.
ago. This was actually probably maybe the second or third movie that we watched doing Shit Your Pants Wednesday back in the day. So this was like an OG of Shit Your Pants Wednesday. Yeah.
This is really cool because again, I suggest, Dan, if we're doing this, you got to see this movie. At the time that it came out, I was actually working in a grocery store. As you can tell by the cover art, it happens in a grocery store. And it was one of my coworkers said, I've seen this movie. It happens in a grocery store overnight. So it's like, okay, well, we all work in a grocery store. We all got to check it out. The movie, though, before we get into the full premise, we'll touch on the premise first. It is a grocery store that is, we find out shortly into the movie, it's closing. It's a small privately owned store. The owner, it's like, hey, we're not making any money. I'm losing money. I'm selling it. We're closing down, relatively cool about it. Hey, I'm going to help you out as best I can. I'll help you find other jobs, recommendations to anybody else, whatever.
But here's the thing.
It's just that, hey, unfortunately, I don't want to do it, but I have to. I'm left with no other option.
This is a reality thing. I mean, this is a premise that literally could happen. A small time guy can't compete with Big Lot, and he's like, I'm sorry, guys, I gotta do what's best for me. Unfortunately, it means that I have to term everybody. We're going to do a final inventory.
Start marking everything down so we can sell off what we can, and so we don't have to trash it.
And so I mean they're made aware. It's not like they come in one day and they're like, oh, you're closed, But like they're made aware. The
store's going to be open for it's got a little bit of life in it. It's not like, okay, when I lock the doors tonight, nobody's got a job tomorrow. We have time, but you have to
start looking because you are being termed.
This is what's going to happen.
Yeah, this is it. This is your final inventory. And then you're like, okay, so whatever. So what could possibly happen?
Exactly. Well, we find this out after there's been a big brouhaha in the store, as one of the lead cashiers, her ex-boyfriend, who has been in jail for manslaughter, apparently. Apparently gets into a bar fight, beats the crap out of the guy. The guy dies, so he goes to jail for manslaughter. So before we know it, as the store, they're marking everything down. Next thing you know, employees are getting killed. Who's killing the employees?
How could this happen?
How could it happen?
It makes the term price slashing to a whole new
level. And what's great about it, and what I think is so great about it, is because everybody's kind of got their own, responsibilities in the store. They're kind of doing their own thing. As people are getting killed off, nobody else knows it.
No, it's very quiet how it's happening.
It's just kind of slowly, and you eventually get bodies start getting discovered once you kind of start whittling it down to like
it's only like
the infamous last girl.
There's only like 10 people in the store. It's overnight. They're doing an inventory, so the doors are locked. Anybody, it's almost like a whodunit in a sense, because it's like it's one of us. There's nobody else in the store. It's one of us.
Or
who would be there?
Or is it the girl's boyfriend? Did he slip in? And here's and this is one of the spoilers I will give is the fact that the first victim is killed outside. So it is
Right.
set up. We're not going to reveal who it is or isn't, because we definitely want you to check this out. Unfortunately, there is some places where you'll find the cover art that, unfortunately, if it's listed with certain cover art, it will reveal who the
Oh,
killer is.
really? Does it really?
Unfortunately, I think that's why when I found when I was looking for cover art, I was glad I found this Blu-ray re-release where they made sure that the killer's face is not revealed, um,
Right.
on the artwork. But this movie also, just what makes it great is the pedigree that it has. This was written and directed by a very good friend, college friend of Sam and Ted Raimi.
Mm.
So he was, his buddies are there and said, like, hey, I'm going to do this movie. Can you guys help me out? So it actually stars both Sam and Ted Raimi in it.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the movie, you get a brief cameo by Bruce Campbell, who was supposed to have a
Yes.
bigger part in the movie, but he was apparently, I think he was shooting Maniac Cop at that point, and the shooting
Right.
schedule didn't allow for much. So but he said, hey, I'll still come in. I'll do a brief cameo. You're not going to see him to the very end. You're going to see him for maybe all of like 20 seconds, which is unfortunate. But the other really great part of this, it was the effects were done by
Mm-hmm.
KNB Effects Studio, which the N being Greg Nicotero, as if you're a fan of The Walking Dead, you
Yeah.
know who Greg Nicotero is. If you are a real deep fan of horror movies, you know who KNB Studios are. I mean, these guys, this was
Yes.
their first movie. This was their first movie. And, obviously now they're one of the top effects studios in Hollywood. And it's really kind of cool to see where they get their start. And this is why I'll tell you, the effects in it are great.
And the cool thing about this, and being a film major myself when I was in college, is that you get this film festival, college final type of feeling about this movie,
Mm-hmm.
in the sense of saying, like, this is very indie, this is very low budget, but they pull off with a low budget exactly what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you, like we talked about Killer Sofa in the last episode, I'm guarantee you they had a larger budget than this movie. And this
Yeah.
movie is leaps and bounds over that movie.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what I said a few episodes back before, is that it's all about the writing. Sometimes
It is very well written.
the horror cannot just sell. Just like you sit there and say, well, if I have a really hot woman, who cares what's in the movie? As long as the hot woman's in there, or as long as the hot guy's in there, or whatever the case is, that's what's going to sell. That's a large majority of the way some movies are made, but it doesn't mean that movie's going to be good. In this case, with a low budget, what do they have to work with but the writing? Think about it for a second. We're in a small little like grocery store. That's my special effects, is the products on the shelves. That's it. You know what I mean? So like there are no effects really, in the sense of saying, wow, did you see that? It's not like that in that sense.
Yeah. And what they really did well was, for the effects that they knew they couldn't pull off.
Right.
They don't show you the actual kill scene per se.
Right.
You get a guy, his head's being pushed towards a bandsaw. You never actually see his head get cut in half. They do make a great prosthetic head later that looks fantastically real, and it's like then you find the head. So it's like you get to see the aftermath.
Right.
And the aftermath, that looks realistic. So I said, we can't really make it look real to actually cut his head in half. But we can make it look real if it's just there and it's somebody and it's 5 feet away from the person.
Right.
That, it's kind of like the adage with car guys, like a 5-footer.
That's a classic trope, though, to use, where the happenings off screen weigh in your mind more than if it's presented to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I could sit there and I can cut somebody's head off and it can roll across the floor. And you're like, wow, that was crazy. But that shock value is literally that instant. It's that instant, and it's that small of a time frame, and then as quick as it came, it went. Whereas if I'm imagining, much like reading a book, if I'm imagining this,
that's why when you're talking
I'm
about
going
horror,
wild.
it's kind of like the old adage, like, why is it that Stephen King movies, even the good ones, are never as good as the book? Well, it's because the way Stephen King writes, he writes it in a way that your imagination goes way beyond what they could ever pull off on film.
Exactly. And that's what he's hoping for. And this movie kind of relies on that. It relies on you, the viewer, to put yourself in that position and imagine the absolute worst that could be possibly happening. And you do actually do that. So this is a great movie. This is a great shit your pants Wednesday movie because of the fact that, like, you're not seeing content like this in your big budgeted movies nowadays. You're not at all. So that's a big thing to keep in mind, that you're going to be genuinely scared because you could relate to this movie.
Yeah.
As goofy as that sounds, this could happen. This could literally happen and be something on Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah. Especially nowadays, where it seems like every time you turn around, there's somebody else absolutely completely losing their shit and doing something to somebody. You know, it's almost kind of thing of like, you know, monster movies are great. Werewolves, vampires, zombies. I mean, they're all great. But at the same time, it's kind of like this is not something from your imagination. This is somebody is just truly that screwed up in the head and is using whatever is at their disposal to kill the people that they want to kill.
Think about it for a second, though. Your monster movies, Godzilla, Dracula, whatever. This is fantasy horror, which it takes you to a different world, a different time. It takes you 100% out of reality so that you can sit there and relax in that moment, in that sense.
It's safe.
Right. It is
safe horror. It's safe horror.
Whereas this is relatable. And what happens is, I think with this, it's not so much that I'm escaping, but I want to see somebody else feel what I'm feeling. Maybe I got laid off because the store I work for went out of business. Now, granted, nobody's killing anybody in the store that I'm got laid off at, but shit, I was thinking those things in a small mission in my mind, and it's cool to see that played out on television and say, yeah, I guess that wouldn't have worked out really well if I would have did it, but whatever, you know. So maybe it's a good thing I just took my pink slip and left, you know. But it's a relatable thing to say. Sometimes people just want someone else to think the way they do in that aspect, and this movie presents that in that fashion. Like I said, it's exaggerated. Hopefully, nobody who's getting laid off is in that bad a way that they need to kill everybody in the fucking store. I hope. But
exactly
in the sense of saying, you know what?
Well,
it's something you can relate to say, hey, you know what?
Well, also, too, when this came out, it's the late 80s. That's when we also got the whole term of going postal.
Yeah.
Like all these, these mailmen would get laid off and come back and start shooting up the place.
Yeah.
And it's, it's just kind of that thing. It's kind of like you said, this shit could happen if you had somebody who was that mentally unstable.
Imagine that you're like, you wanted COD, well, you got DOD, dead on delivery. How corny.
Exactly.
But no, this was a great one. You definitely want to check it out, guys. Check that subscribe button down below. Hit the notification bell. Leave some comments. If you watch this movie, I would be interested to think what you think about the movie. Leave us some comments down below. Tell us what you think about the movie. Was there anything you pulled out of it, maybe that we didn't talk about, or whatever the case is? I would love to hear your comments down below.
Yeah. That goes for all of our episodes. If we want to know, hey, you can tell us that we were wrong. You could watch it and say this was a big steaming pile of shit. I'll think you're wrong because it's one of my favorite movies. What do you want to hear?
I will respect your opinion. I will respect your opinion.
And it's a or two, if you've watched it, you've seen it before, we want to know, hey, yeah, I've seen it, it's great, yeah, thanks for reminding me, I'll go back and watch it again. Or hey, we suggested it, you watched it, you come back again, you let us know what's going on. If you have suggestions after watching this of some other movie that's semi-relatable to it, and say, hey, well, if you like this, you need to check this out, because obviously we're always looking for new content. Yes. We're always looking for new content, and anything, any of our fans, if you have something that you like, we would love to share it with everybody so that everybody can enjoy it as well. Because that's what these movies are there for. They're there to be enjoyed. So we want to make sure people know about them. So, Danny, I think is there anything else that we can really say about this movie?
Well,
without adding spoilers.
These prices will slash you insanely. I don't know. Whatever. The fucking place closed. It's a Walmart now.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, anyway, take us out.
Well, if that is it, and I do believe it is, thanks again for watching another episode of Shit Your Pants Wednesday. On behalf of myself, Danny J, the entire DJB Productions Network family, thank you, and we hope you check out our future episodes. And if this is the first one you've stumbled across, check out our previous episodes.
Yeah. Here's a cool thing. You don't have to watch these in order.
No. That's the beautiful thing.
There is no story arc.
Yes. Yeah. There is no rhyme or reason as to why this is not a concept show.
No, not at all.
This is an Alice Cooper's Welcome to My Nightmare, where you need to listen to it from song 1 to the very end to get the whole story. It's piecemeal.
If you like what we did here, check out some of the other movies we asked. I'm telling you, it's the truth. Some of the other movies we recommended, I'm telling you, you're gonna love it. So check it out, and until next time,
make sure you bring a clean pair of drawers.
But you just
might shit your pants.
Might shit your pants.
Oh God, you smell that?
Ew, I smell that.